Hello, my name is Mel, and welcome to the Oak House. This is the Oak House. I started this channel, I guess, like a couple of months ago, but have only really like pulled over a few shorts from my Instagram. Um, but I was checking it out to the other day, and because I was thinking about like doing some longer videos, and I looked, and there were 18 of you who have subscribed. So thank you guys for being here. I've had like a blog and both my Instagram account and a blog that have like covered some of my DIY projects um, in the past and some of my Facebook Marketplace makeovers. Um, and so it's somewhat intermittently I've posted over the years, but I wanted to like start this channel to kind of show a little more like of the process when I do either a DIY project or makeover furniture pieces. Um, DIY and design, that's like the content that you would expect to find here. Those are two things I love. And I feel like I love those things because I love home. My home is my sanctuary, my safe place. It's the place I love to be the most. I know I had a friend one time that said, I love to be on vacation, but I also love to get to come home. And that's how I feel about my home. And I feel like one of the main reasons why I feel that way is because I have used DIY skills to help make my house feel like a home. And I feel like that's something that most of us can do. Um, I learned how to do these things. I feel like mainly from watching other people. I, I mean, I can go back to my parents, like they were DIY people. I think primarily probably out of necessity, but I think it gave me that spirit of like you can do this yourself, and also it's like this idea that I may want a certain aesthetic or a certain look, and I can't or wouldn't be able to afford to buy it new or pay somebody else to do it. But if I can use my own hands to do it, that's the way to still get that without spending this, a higher amount of money. Um, and so I learned from my parents that I think that spirit, and then, but also as I got older, like watching HGTV, there were a lot of DIY shows in the early 2000s that I feel like I would see them do something and I'm like, oh, I can do that. Or even just like via Instagram and YouTube, watching other or fellow DIYers, it like really inspired me to feel like I can do that too. So I'm hoping to share that same love of home and the idea that you can do it yourself through my projects to help someone else feel the same way. Most recently, I feel like I've gotten into like Facebook Marketplace, picking up pieces there and refinishing. But yeah, I think there's lots of ways and lots of things you can use to help make your home feel like home. So I want to go back to like, why is it called the Oak House? Well, my original home had an oak tree in the front yard, and I was thinking like the oak cottage and oak house is what I came up with. Where I am now, though, this home is surrounded by 5 majestic oak trees, and so I still think it's an even more fitting name than it originally was. This home that I'm in now is a 1980s fixer. Um, it had all of its original aesthetic, like wallpaper from the 1980s. Uh, the family room has its paneling that was like the original honey colored oak. Like it had lace curtains in the windows from the 1980s. Like it had, I don't think it had been touched. I think there were like 3 or 4 other people that had lived here over the years, and it still had like mauve colored molding from the 1980s, 1990s. So, but I love that because it, I could see that the bones of the house were good, and it also allowed me to put my own touch on it without feeling like I'm destroying something that was new or like wasting someone else's renovation. Um, so I've been here at this point 10 years. Almost probably every space has been touched at this point. There's a few closets that are still like need to be like painted. you know. But for the most part, this home has been updated slowly over time, over the past 10 years, mostly via DIY, and mostly cosmetic changes. The only room that I've totally demoed everything out is probably my master bath, but outside of that, it's original cabinetry that's just been painted. I painted them. Of course, I hired out to for like tiling and countertops, and I have two rooms that have like double height ceilings that I didn't feel like I could safely paint on my own, and so I hired somebody to do that. But outside of that, everything here I think has been, and a few chandeliers. Couldn't do like a 20-foot ceiling. But outside of that, everything else has been DIY over the years. And I love a neutral aesthetic. Like, I feel like neutral does get a bad rap as being, um, what's the word? Boring. Um, I don't know. Just you hear people say like boring beige, sad beige. But I think to me it's very calming. I think it probably depends on your personality, but I find it very calming, very welcoming, very inviting. And I think it doesn't have to be boring. Like you can add in plants, um, you know, also I think, well, plants, fabrics, accessories, etc. But also, I think having a neutral foundation, a neutral backdrop allows you to add in whatever color story you want to add to the space, and you can change it out without having to change these major parts of your decor. And to me, those are the things that cost more, like your painting cabinets or painting your walls, especially if you don't do them yourself, those cost money to have someone do for you. Or even if you DIY, it costs time. And so by having a neutral backdrop, you can easily change out a pillow or, a towel or artwork. Those take far less time and money than some of these major investments into your space. So that's another reason why I love a neutral aesthetic. Um, but um, I think one of my favorite rooms I've done in here is my kitchen. Um, and um, I love this space because it's been kind of reimagined while keeping true to what was originally here. Just some slight tweaks to update it. And I'll have to record a small video to show you the kitchen and talk about some things that have been done. But yeah, I think sometimes I do look at some spaces in my home and I'm like, all you did was paint the walls white. And I think like that's probably like like one of my rooms upstairs. I kind of feel that way. Like I do need to. There's still more to be done, but I also feel like that's sometimes all you need. Like give me a freshly painted wall, give me a few plants and a white slipcover. I'm good. Like to me, the space feels finished, feels good. Um, but yeah, outside of the inside of the home itself, I also love nature. I love plants. I love gardening, and I love wildflowers. I'm gonna go get some today. um, but yeah, bringing those things, like having your garden outside, in addition to like a neutral aesthetic of the inside of the home, creates a very calming environment. I would say it's for myself. But yeah, most recent projects. So I know a friend of mine, or a couple people have been asking me recently, who I know in real life, like, what are you working on right now? I don't have a project specifically at this moment. Of course, there are things I would like to do, but I think lately it's been graduation season for us. Still have a few decorations up. And we've had family in town. And then most recently, after they left, we ended up going out of town ourselves to visit them. So I haven't like been able to work on a specific project at the moment. Um, I have done some projects outside this spring, like I hung string lights in my backyard, which have been really nice. And it was something I've been wanting to do for years, but couldn't figure out how to do the cabling to support the lights. So I finally something clicked when watching a YouTube video. Again, this is why I love learning from other people. But something clicked this year and I was able to like get the cabling up and get the lights hung. really wanted to do a small vegetable garden, but the very minimum, a small herb garden. I think I have basil so far and rosemary. I really wanted some lemon thyme. Haven't found it yet, I think. I feel like I looked at Lowe's and still haven't found it. But just a few herbs, minimum. Maximum, I'd love to do some vegetables. I had a raised planter that I built for my deck a couple of years ago. I was going to use that, but when I pulled it out to like set it back up, I realized some of the boards at the bottom of it was rotted out, and it kind of felt like, I should just throw it away, do the herb garden this year. So actually, I had put it out on my curb, but and the county never came to pick it up. And it was looking kind of cute on the curb. So I ended up bringing it back down into my lower lawn area to test out having it there. Still haven't, like, I need to cut the legs off of it and like set it up. So maybe that'll be a project I will do over the summer and just prepare for like the fall to get a few vegetables going. But yeah, I do still have projects in the home that I would love to do. Um, but of course, projects, they do cost. So you have to pace yourself. But I will be sharing things like some of my Facebook Marketplace finds. I think that's probably one of the biggest things I probably like to talk about going like in the next, I don't know, next video or so. This year, or probably like the past year, I've gotten into getting even larger items off Facebook Marketplace and Goodwill. And I think for me, I have found like that's also a great way to like decorate your home with nice quality pieces for far less than sometimes what you could spend brand new, getting brand new pieces, and also like better quality. Sometimes you do have to do work to update them. You may need to refinish something or have a piece cleaned. But it just depends on the piece. I have found like Pottery Barn furniture, restoration hardware. There's a desk I refinished that needed work. But I mean, when I look at the cost of what the piece would have been brand new versus the work that I needed to put into it to bring it back to life, um, I I I can do the work. I will do the work. So I look forward to like sharing some of those things with you guys going forward. And if that's something that's of interest to you, I hope that you will join the channel and stick around. So yeah. I think what I'm going to do today, at least, though, is give a brief tour of my kitchen. I think this is probably one of my favorite rooms in the home and probably the hardest working room in the home. But yeah, I'll do a brief tour and talk about some of the DIY projects that I've done in here, um, some of the original features, and some of the tweaks that I made to like make it feel more modern. So I will probably this afternoon do a short video to talk more about that. So I hope that you will stick around, like I said before, and thank you. If you stayed this long, thank you for being here. So this is my kitchen. Um, so to tell you about a few of the changes that I made in here. These are the original cabinets, all of these here. Up above the windows, there used to be a bank of cabinets that went across there, and I demoed that out and then put the crown back up against the back of the wall. And then later on had someone tile the backsplash. Over here, Um, all the upper doors used to have two smaller doors up above there, and I ordered one solid door to go on these uppers, and then also on the two sets of uppers here and here on this side of the cabinet, excuse me, on this side of the kitchen. I just think that that is a more modern aesthetic to have the 42-inch solid height cabinet door. But other than that, the cabinets themselves are all original, which you can kind of tell from the bottom. It would be nice to have some drawers down here instead of all of these doors, but it is what it is. This was already here, but when I replaced the oven, um, it was shorter than the original oven, and so I had a platform put in a little higher and then made use of that extra space by adding a taller drawer. And when I ordered my doors, I ordered that drawer as well. And a fourth thing I did in here, I think that's the fourth, is that around the refrigerator, there used to be a half depth surround. And so it really would have stopped back here. But I demoed that out and built a a full depth refrigerator surround. Again, I feel like that gave it a bit more of a modern aesthetic. And the pièce de résistance, the best part, I think, or my favorite part, is this vent hood. Um, this was originally a microwave over the cooktop, and I took the microwave out, moved it over here to a cabinet I built on this side, and then did a faux vent hood. I guess it's a real vent hood, but just like your microwave has a recirculating vent hood, I added a standalone recirculating vent hood and then built out a cover around it to give me this nice wood look. And I think the sixth thing I did, so this peninsula, there was a peninsula here originally, but it was just a wall that went out this way and a wall that went out this way. And I demoed those two pieces out and built a cabinet and a thicker peninsula area or support. Also, I felt like I needed it to support the weight of the countertop that I was putting in. And so, yeah, and this, I actually made it a bit bigger, like lengthwise and widthwise than the original countertop was. And so that is the main space. And then after doing all that work, I had countertops put in professionally, marble counters, and also marble backsplash put in professionally. Over here on the breakfast area side, originally there was green wallpaper around this whole area. And like I said before, I had tried removing wallpaper before. It did not go well. And so in here, I decided to just paint over it instead of trying to remove it. And it's been, I think, 9 years since it was painted, and it does not peel. There is a faint line up there where there was a border. But other than that, I mean, unless I tell somebody, I don't think you can tell that the wallpaper was there. And if you can't, I don't care. I mean, it's good for me. And then I have a couple of Facebook Marketplace finds. More recently, I had a different table in here, but I've been wanting a banquette, and this was a sofa that I purchased for my living room off of Facebook Marketplace, but it ended up being a bit too, I don't know, it doesn't have the fluff. um, but for a kitchen, it feels very luxurious. And so in lieu of a banquette, I have this sofa and the pedestal. I bought this table because I wanted a pedestal table, and this one fit the bill. Do have plans to refinish it, probably to like a lighter wood tone. My original table that I had in here was more of a lighter wood tone, but yeah, this is a great spot to sit and have coffee. Love to sit here And you can also see outside. You can see the rest of the kitchen. You can see a little bit into the family room. But yeah, this is one of my favorite spots in the house. Okay, so that was a brief tour of my kitchen here at the Oak House. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, as I said, it's one of my favorite spaces in the home. Um, and, you know, a lot of the original features are still here. The bones are still here. The kitchen was, of course, originally like a wood tone, like a honey colored wood tone for all the cabinets, and so I painted them white. Um, but yeah, I feel like it has created a more modern look overall while staying true to its 1980s roots. Um, and I have enjoyed using this space over the last several years. This was originally done, like I said, done in 2019. So it's been 7 years since the big changes were made. I think I was 2020 when I did the vent hood. Um, I still have a few small projects I would like to do in here. Like originally the plan was to do like 2 or 3 floating shelves on this wall between the 2 windows. I've, 7 years later, I still haven't gotten around to that, but it's on the list potentially to do. um, and let's see what else. I have had the idea of doing like a bank of um, bookcases on that back wall um, in this breakfast area, but we'll see. We'll see as time goes on. But overall, I hope you've enjoyed the tour. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about more about me and what this channel is going to have on it in the future. And I appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you soon.